Hello, friends. I am Asad Mirza, and today I'll be speaking to you about my new book, Demystifying Indian Madrasah and Deobandi Islam. As the title of the book suggests, the purpose of the book is to basically clear any misperceptions or misconceptions about the Indian madrasas and also Darul Uloom Deoband, which is the leading Indian seminary in India. First of all, the issue of madrasa education came up on the scene when the Sachar Committee report came up. Basically, only about 4% of the Indian Muslim children go to a madrasa, but still it is a cause of concern for many people because they don't know enough about madrasa education system, and also about Darul Uloom, that what basically Darul Uloom educates and teaches to its students. Darul Uloom was basically established in 1866, to be precise, on 31st May 1866 by Maulana Qasim Nanotwi, along with his other fellow followers like Sayyid Muhammad Abid, Fazlur Rahman Usmani, Maktub Ali Deobandi, Niyaz Ahmad, Zulfikar Ali Rafiuddin, Qasim Nanotwi himself, and Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi. I have tried to explain the background and the reason why Darul Uloom Deoband was set up by Indian Muslims in the first two chapters of the book. Basically, during the late 19th century, there was a period of chaos amongst the Indians of all shades of our religion, and not just Indian Muslims, because after the end of the Mughal Empire, the cultural invasion by the Britishers, it was having its toll on all religions of India because the Britishers, they were trying to establish their own norms and traditions in India, which were completely alien to the Indian public. Amongst this, the Indian Muslim scholars, particularly the religious scholars, they felt that there is a big vacuum in the discourse which is basically being offered to the Indian Muslims on religious issues. So they tried to set up a new seminary called Darul Uloom at Deoband in Saharanpur district of Uttar Pradesh. Basically, the aim was also to forge friendship and close interaction with the Hindu community of India so as to form a unified front against the British invaders and restore the Indian freedom once again to the Indians. In this regard, I would like to mention that Deoband was established in 1866 and Aligarh Muslim University was established in 1875. The aim of both these institutions was to basically bring Muslims close to the education. The aim of Darul Uloom Deoband was to instill the religious education, and the aim of Aligarh Muslim University or AMU was to instill a scientific temperament amongst the Indian Muslims and to basically make them aware of the current trends in education. Further, AMU was conceptualized on the model of Oxford, and many of its buildings also show this closeness of AMU to Oxford. And Darul Uloom Deoband was basically formed to educate the young and uneducated Muslims about the Islam, about the teachings of Islam, so that they can convey the proper message of Islam to the Indian masses all across India. In this sense, Maulana Qasim Nanotwi, when he set up Darul Uloom Deoband, he set up a code of ethics called Husule Hastagana, or a code of conduct consisting of basically eight principles. One of the most important principle of this code was that no aid from any government or any ruler or any government institution was to be accepted by the Darul Uloom Deoband. Further, he said that you should always have an atmosphere of austerity so that you utilize your resources to the maximum and you strive to convey and deliver to the maximum of your potential. So these guiding principles guide the Darul Uloom still today, and but many people feel that what is Darul Uloom Deoband is doing. So, and what on what basis it was established. So, as I explained earlier, it was established as a forum to form a class of Muslim religious scholars who could interpret and convey a true form of Islam to the Indian Muslims, along with notions of independence and what Islam teaches about self-rule and how to get rid of British invaders from India. So the attainment of Indian freedom was the sole motto of the people who basically established Darul Uloom Deoband, and they played a very leading and collaborative role with other religious communities across India in the fight against the British colonialists. The basic philosophy which Darul Uloom follows is based on the teachings of Sufi saint Shah Waliullah Dehlavi, who was a leading scholar of his times, and he basically brought together the concept of coexistence and tolerance amongst the Indian Muslims and tried to convey the principal feature of Islam, that justice or adl should be the main framework, the main foundation of your interaction with your fellow countrymen and fellow religionists. Shah Waliullah was considered to be one of the leading philosophers of his time. He got educated in Medina also, and after which he came back to India, and then he proceeded to translate the Holy Quran into Persian for the first time, because till that time the Holy Quran was available only in Arabic, but most of the people, they knew or used to converse or employ Persian in their daily conversations or official doings, because Persian was the core language of that time. So Maulana Shah Waliullah Delvi translated the Holy Quran from Arabic into Persian, so that everyone can understand the essence, the meaning of Holy Quran in Persian. Later on, his son Shah Abdul Aziz translated the Holy Quran into Urdu, because by that time Urdu has become the lingua franca of Indian Muslims, or the Indians, as we say. Now, when we talk about the Deban and what basically it tries to teach is to its students, then two chapters are basically devoted on this aspect only. Devan is not governed by any particular individual, but it is basically governed by two bodies which are basically known as Majlis-e Shura, the advisory council, and Majlis-e Amla, the executive council. The executive council, which consists of basically 9 to 11 leading Indian Muslim religious scholars, basically the body which leads and directs the activities of government, repeat, of Darul Uloom Deoband, which consists of different 32 departments overall. The aim of the religious scholars who established Deoband was not just to basically give them religious training or religious education, because till that time there was no formal setup or a madrasa or an institution which basically used to follow a particular syllabus, which used to have a normal educative calendar or other thing. Because till that time what used to happen was that students would go to a Maulavi or an alim and study a particular book under his guidance, and after they got excelled in that particular book, that Maulavi or Alim would issue a certificate to them, certifying that he has studied this book and he has become a master in that book. So it depended on the student and his teacher that what basically they agreed upon to study. But they both changed that thing. It basically followed a completely new education system, because two of its founders, they were deputy school of inspectors in the British colonial system. Also, they studied at Delhi College in Delhi also, so they had an exposure to modern English education also. So Deban by that time basically they established for the first time a full academic calendar for that thing, which was followed from class 1 to class 12. And basically, the students were not taught just the religious topics or religious subjects, they were also taught fundamental mathematics, civics, geography, and other things. And nowadays, the students, they are taught the Constitution of India, modern English languages like English, or the modern techniques like computer studies and other things also. So Devan basically was an institution which heralded modern educational system concept into Indian Muslim religious education system, and they formalized every step of their education giving or pedagogy system. They, after studying at the institute for 10 years, the person got the degree of a Maulvi, and after completing 12 years, he got the degree of a Fazil. So they one formulated the pedagogy system and also the certification system. And Deban's certificates, they are recognized all over India. Now, here comes the question that whenever any madrasa is mentioned, then it is basically referred to as a Deobandi institution, which is basically a misnomer. And particularly recently, this issue also came up when the interim foreign minister of Afghanistan, Amir Khan Muttaqi, visited Deoband. That why did he specifically visited Darul Uloom Deoband? So here I would like to tell you that Deoband for the first time adopted a syllabus which was basically formulated by Maulana Nizamuddin. And that's why this syllabus is known as Darse Nizami. And most of the Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and even madrasas in UK or US or South Africa or elsewhere follow this Darse Nizami, due to which these institutions or these madrasas are referred to as a Deobandi institutions. So similarly, these madrasas, they were established in Pakistan also, in Afghanistan also, and they also followed the Darse Nizami. Apart from that, many students from Afghanistan, from Burma, from Bangladesh used to come over to Darul Uloom Deoband for their higher studies, because Darul Uloom Deoband is known as Al Azhar of the East. Al Azhar is the topmost Islamic seminary in the world, which was established around 890. But here I would like to mention that the first Islamic university or first Islamic educational institution was established in Fez, Morocco, by none other than a woman. That woman was Fatima Al Firi, who established Madrasa Al Karwayun in 1857 in Fez, Morocco. And after that, about after a gap of 43 years, the University of Al Azhar was set up in Egypt, in Cairo. The first madrasa in India was established in 1192 in Ajmer, and you would also be astonished to know that in 1781, the then Governor General of India, Warren Hastings, he inaugurated a madrasa known as Calcutta Madrasa in Calcutta, which was known as Aliya Madrasa at that time. And in 2011, this madrasa was given the status of university. Now it is known as Aliya University. So this shows that madrasa education is just not confined to teaching of religious education only, but people who study there, the people who teach there, they are also acquainted with modern education pedagogy systems and also the modern education subjects. And they try their level best to basically teach these subjects to their students. Further, another controversial issue which comes up is the issuance of fatwa by Darul Uloom Deoband. Here, I would like to mention that Darul Uloom Deoband has a department known as Darul Ifta, or the Department of Jurisprudence, which basically employs different muftis. And anyone can send any question related to any religious topic or religious issue to these muftis for any clarification. The clarification issued by these muftis is known as a fatwa. Further, these fatwas are not legally binding on them. They are just an opinion by a mufti that what Islam thinks about this particular issue and what guidance does it give for resolving this sort of an issue. So fatwas, they are made controversial by usually the media, which most cases does not have any clue about what Darul Uloom teaches or what a fatwa means or what is going on at Darul Uloom. Two chapters of my book focuses on this issue. One particularly focusing on the way the Indian media considers Darul Uloom Deoband and how the Western media also interprets Darul Uloom or the Deobandi system of education all across the world. In this regard, I would like to mention that as people, they themselves are completely unaware about Darul Uloom or the Deobandi system, which is commonly known as Deobandi system of education. So my advice to them, which is basically an idea which was floated by my friend Dr. Rahim Musa at the University of Princeton, that perhaps Deoband or Darul Uloom Deoband should start tourism and invite people to come over and stay at Darul Uloom for 5 days or a week so that they know what basically goes on there. And there is further no restriction on anybody entering or going to Darul Uloom. Anybody can just walk in through the gates of Darul Uloom. There is no watchman over there. The only single old watchman over there is just to open and close the doors of the institution in the morning and late in the night. So there are basically no barriers on your going over to the Darul Uloom, talking and speaking to its teachers, its students and all other people associated with it, so that you can understand what Darul Uloom basically consists of and what it has been doing for the last 150 years of its existence in India, and not just in India, but it has influenced all across the world. As basically I pointed out earlier also, that most of the educational institutions across the world, which are basically can be referred to as madrasas, they follow a syllabi which was developed specifically for Darul Uloom Deoband, known as Nizami, and there is no affiliation or no accreditation between these institutions and Darul Uloom Deoband. The only common link is that they follow a same syllabi. So you can't just malign the image of Darul Uloom if any madrasa, which is basically in Pakistan or in Afghanistan, if they basically indulge in activities which are considered to be abhorrent by the Islamic teachings. Further, I would like to emphasize that Darul Uloom Deoband is an institution which basically offers religious Islamic teachings to its students, and also teaches them the principles of coexistence and tolerance and how to make our country a much better country. So, in this regard, as suggested by Professor Ibrahim Musa, also, I would like you to basically go there, understand what Darul Uloom Deoband basically teaches its students over there, and for the same purpose, this book, which has been published by Vitasta Publishing, New Delhi, tries to bring to its readers so that they, first of all, become aware of the basic philosophy, the basic ideology behind the establishment of Darul Uloom Deoband and what it is doing. Currently, I would like to invite you all to Darul Uloom Deoband on its behalf so that any misperceptions or misconceptions about Darul Uloom Deoband can be wiped out from your mind. Thank you very much. Happy reading.